It's crazy to me that after almost a year, nobody's really done a rig building video with the Canon R5 Mark II because this is a really capable video camera. So today I want to show you how I rigged this one out, all the way for just doing some simple video and photo work, all the way into more complex building where I'm doing some more intensive video work and more long form video work like interviews and doc style stuff with the Canon R5 Mark II. And while this video might seem like it's sponsored by SmallRig, it is not. They have never sent me anything ever. All of this stuff that you're going to see in this video, I have purchased because I like the way it fits, I like the way it functions on my cameras, and I've been using their products for, I don't know, 5-6 years, ever since I bought the A7 III. And if you want to help this channel out, there will be affiliate links down in the description of everything that I talk about. Now, I don't always rig this camera out really heavily. If I'm doing some really lightweight video and photo work, a lot of times I run around with it like this, where it's just got a Peak Design plate because I have a Peak Design tripod and my Sennheiser MKE 400 on top. Great little microphone. It does a good job. And that's really about it. But I do generally like to put a cage on here because it affords a fair amount of protection for the camera itself. My A7S III has been saved a couple of times from falls and drops because it's always been in a cage. And the cage that I really have liked using over the last, I don't know, 9 months or so since it was released is this SmallRig Black Mamba cage because it's really lightweight and it's really low profile. And one thing I appreciate about the SmallRig cages is they include this little tool, which is everything you need to be able to install or take this cage off of your camera, which is really nice. And it's magnetic, so it stays in there really well. I haven't actually lost one of these tools yet, even though I've been running around with a cage on my A7S III for the better part of 5 years, I think. But one thing that separates the Canon cages from the Sony cages is the Canon cages both have this little locking mechanism here that sits inside of your straps. So I've already loosened these. I'm just gonna pop these out. And then we can fit the cage over the camera. Like I said, it fits really well. I'll just start this up here a little bit. And I don't tighten that all the way down until I can get these mounted in there. But we'll tighten this guy up here. And just like that, we have a cage on the camera, which is nice. It feels great in the hands, it's lightweight, and it gives us an extra cold shoe, a couple extra mounting points if we want to do things like that. Now, the reason I didn't have the lens on is you can't fit the cage over, at least over the 24-105, which is my most used lens. You just can't fit the cage over the 24-105 and install it on the camera. But there, now that we've got that done, it's easy. This would be basically how I run around the wild here with the Canon R5. But one thing this camera does do is go through a fair amount of battery power, especially if you're doing 8K video or any of the maybe heavier duty video codecs. And so one thing I do like about this is there's a really easy way to add more power. And for that, you can go a couple of different directions. I love these power snap edge batteries from Core. They snap into place. You put this plate on the camera, they snap into place, and then you have this nice, basically 50 watt-hour battery with 2 USB power delivery ports, 2 DTAP or PTAP ports, and yeah, this battery has really been great. So this plate, super easy to install. You just attach it like that, and now the plate's on there. And then the cool thing is that these just snap into place and snap off, and you can stack them, which I showed in my actual review video. But the coolest thing about these plates is that you get power delivery port, and so like that, we have a super clean, high output way of powering this camera and keeping the camera powered for long periods of time. And if we want to do anything like add a monitor or anything like that, it makes it really easy to do that with this whole setup here. But say you have a bunch of V-mounts that you already use, whether you like 50 watt V-mounts or 99 watt hour V-mounts, well, there is a solution. SmallRig has a really easy solution, and that's this foldable V-mount plate here for Sony and more. It folds up really tightly. It actually comes with this Arca Swiss compatible plate, but because we have the SmallRig cage on here, this is Arca Swiss compatible. Now, it's not compatible with the Peak Design plate for some reason, but it is compatible with the SmallRig cages. So this is super simple. you just slide it on the camera like so, and then with this lever here, you can lock it down and then lock the V-mount plate down. And these V99 Pro or V99 batteries from Small Rig actually, or the V50 batteries, attach really easily. And then of course, you just need to run a USB-C from the top of the Small Rig battery, like that, into the camera, and just like that, you can see it's charging. This battery will keep the camera powered for a really long time, and then you've got some nice weight actually, which, you know, can be a plus, can be a minus, but if you're trying to get steady handheld shots, a little extra weight definitely helps. And then on the bottom, this does have an Arca Swiss plate, so you can attach this to your Arca Swiss compatible tripod, or you could put a different kind of plate on there as well. And if you're wanting to go, well, I want the screen out to where I can actually see it, then you can pop that out there, put that back in place, lock this down, and this way you can actually see the screen when you turn the camera on. You have to set it to screen only, but this way you can set it to screen only, and there you get lots of extra power. If you want to take it off, it just slides on, slides off the bottom really easily. Now, obviously, this is not ideal for doing photo work or even doing video work if you're trying to handheld and get video shots like this. So, because we're using a cage, we can relocate the microphone over to the side here. Set that in there. So the mic is still forward facing, and we can add a monitor. Now, I started using the Shinobi 2 a few months ago because it adds a lot of camera control. So you can tap to focus, you can adjust a bunch of your settings on here, all with a single USB-C cable. And you can also power this from a dummy battery off of the Small Rig and then send power to your camera through the USB-C cable. So it keeps the camera charged, but also gives you a whole bunch of control, all based on a nice bright 5-inch screen, which is really handy. Now, there's a couple of different ways we can mount this to the camera, and one of my favorite is these HawkLock system from Small Rig. They include these little pieces that just snap into place, and then once they're snapped in, they are really firm and won't go anywhere. So I really like this, and I've been trading out all of my like magic arms and friction arms, stuff that I use regularly, to these because of how fast they snap in and out. And they also work on NATO rails. So like this has a NATO rail on the bottom, and it's not totally tight, but it's tight enough that it actually stays put. So this has a cold shoe mount, so this could slide into the cold shoe here. And then we can attach this little plate here to the bottom of the monitor. We need to put it over on the side to avoid hitting the microphone. And then this snaps into place just like that. And then that gives us a nice monitor feed. Now we're going to move this around because we want to get nice clean install with our USB-C here. So we'll tuck the USB-C through there, bring it up and attach it to the back of the monitor. So the USB-C plugs in back here, and then we need an HDMI cable, which Small Rig makes HDMI cables and USB-C cables as well. I just have a bunch of Condor Blue ones sitting around because I do really actually like the Condor Blue ones. They're nice, and they make them in red. So there we go. There's that. And then we need to power the monitor. So we're going to use this dummy NPF battery, but you could just use a regular NPF battery if you wanted to. That doesn't make any sense because we have this nice big V-mount back here, which also has a DTAP port on that side. And I'm going to run it off right there. Now, that's not very great cable management, but it will work in a pinch. So if we turn the camera on there, turn the monitor on here, you can see that we have really pretty low latency video. And over here on the side, you can see there the battery icon is kind of grayed out, and that's because it's being fed power through the USB-C of the Atomos Shinobi 2. So this gives us actually pretty nice ability to be able to get nice, you know, good visuals. And I started using this even for photo work just because it's such a bright and display. And if you're doing it really low angle stuff for wildlife, it just makes it so much nicer to use this, to have a nice size screen and be able to see it from a top down instead of having to lay down and try and look through things. So enabling camera control here, you tap the little camera icon and that brings up the start stop recording. And so you can change white balance here. You could change shutter speed. You can change aperture, which is really nice. ISO even. And so this gives you a really compact, very powerful rig. Now you could also use a Ninja 5, which is bigger and heavier, so I try to avoid that. But this is starting to get pretty heavy, so I think what we're gonna do next is add a handle so that we can get a good, steady, stable grip on this. And I have a couple of different handles from Small Rig that I use. One is this wood one, which I love in colder weather because it keeps your hands from touching the cold metal. And then the other one I like a lot is this one, especially for warmer weather. It has some nice rubber grip to it. But this one, because it has the HawkLock system, pops on and off really quickly. So we're gonna add this little piece here. Now to do this next part, we need to unplug the microphone. And here's why I like the HawkLock system. Because just like the top thing, you snap it on there, it locks in place really well. Now we can plug our microphone back in. Now the mic's plugged back in, and now we have a handle on the side here that gives us a really good grip. The reason I like this handle a lot is because there's this little button here, and you can actually rotate, and then it locks the handle in place. So if you are doing low shots, you can do it lower. If you're just wanting to get a little bit more ergonomic grip, or high shots, you can do all that. And of course, it opens up another cold foot. So we can put the microphone out here if we want to, or we could add a light if we needed to. I mean, I don't do that, but you could if you needed to. And now we have a really nice, feels pretty good in the hands. It's a little on the heavy side, but not too bad. Cinema rig that allows you to get really good, really smooth, really stable footage wherever you are. And if we want to center up the Atomos monitor now, because the microphone is over on the handle, we can also put it into the NATO rail. And then the nice thing is too, you can get a nice flat monitor if you wanted to, and get, you know, good straight top down looking. You can bend it up if you needed to, get a higher top down angle, whatever you need. It's all right there, built in, really nice, and gives you great visibility no matter what you're trying to film or what angle you're trying to film. But at this point, you might be thinking that is too big and too heavy to carry around with two hands like that all day. So I want a top handle so it's easy for me to carry down at my side. Small Rig does have a nice top handle that is HawkLock compatible that will do the same thing. So we're going to attach this right here. And actually, they do have a cage that's HawkLock compatible by default. So you get everything, you know, the NATO rails on the side are all HawkLock compatible. I like the Black Mamba cage better because it's just a little lighter and a little smaller, lower profile. So now that we've attached this, the handle snaps on, gives you really good firm grip. And because this has cold shoe on the back, cold shoe on the front, and these HawkLock connections, we can attach the monitor. And there we go. Now we have a nice tight setup where we can do this. I probably need to get a longer USB-C cable for the monitor, but for now it works, and you could run around like this all day if you wanted to. And then when you're just carrying the camera on the side, you have a nice carry handle, or if you're doing those low shots, it gives you a nice way to carry this camera or do those low shots without having to crouch way down. But if you're going to do some really intensive video work, which I have done, like long form interviews and stuff like that, you're probably going to want to do something like add the fan grip, because this will increase your run times pretty dramatically. And now Small Rig does have a cage for this as well. It's similar, but it's built for the entire fan grip, and this works on any of the fan grips that Canon sells for the R5 Mark II. We'll slide it in here. We'll probably do a little bit of a, put that down, kind of leave it loose. And then we're going to add one of these to this side. Get that to click into the little strap holder there. So that's nice and tight there. And then we're going to do one on this side. I do really like this because it's 3 solid points of contact, and it definitely helps protect the camera a fair amount. So now we've got the cage on. Put the lens on like that. And just like the other cage, it has an Arca Swiss compatible bottom. It has the ability to add a wrist strap here. It has the little magnetic tool to be able to attach or detach any of this. It's cold shoe mount over here. Lots of quarter 20s. Cold shoe mount there. Cold shoe mount there. More quarter 20s. And I've added this rail here to be able to add the handle just like that, so that you can get a good solid grip on this if you want to. But because this is a higher end cinema setup, we're going to drastically change the way we do audio, because generally that means a couple sources of audio, either multiple boom mics or lapels and boom mics. I generally, if I'm interviewing one person, I'm going to do a boom mic and a lapel or a wireless system to be able to get two sources of audio and make sure I have good audio. And for that, my favorite is this Tascam system here, which gives you a couple different sources of good quality XLR microphone inputs. But you can also plug into input 3 if you want to do like a DJI wireless system or something like that. So this goes straight into the hot shoe of the camera and then locks down via that little lever on the back. This is the Rycote HC15, which has been a fantastic little shotgun microphone I've been using for a while. We're going to plug that in here. This little tiny microphone cable was custom made for me by Form Cave, who I'll also link in the description. And they can custom make any sort of mic, SDI, anything but HDMI and USB cables. Now, this gives us some really high-end audio. The one thing I will say is you never want to plug your microphone in if your phantom power, the plus 48, is on. So make sure that's off, or the whole system is off before you plug a microphone in. But if I'm doing interviews out in the wild, I will boom the mic over. Same system. The microphone just goes on a boom arm, gets a little closer to the talent, and then because it's outside, we're going to use wind protection. This is the Rycote Softy, which works really well in most situations. It's very lightweight, it's really robust, and it will deal with a lot of wind. It just slides over, and there you go. Now you have a wind-protected microphone. However, if you're working in inclement weather, they also offer this, which is called, I think, a Super Softy, which basically has no fur, but it does the same amount of wind protection, or it will provide the same amount of wind protection. But if you're getting rain and stuff like that, this basically won't waterlog and hold the water in. You can squeeze it out and get the water out, and basically everything inside of here is just really large hollow cell foam, so it won't hold as much water in as this system will. So there, we've got this set up now where we've got good audio coming in, channel 1 and channel 2. We're going to add a handle over here because this definitely starts to get heavier. But this isn't something I'd be running around with like this exactly very much. It's more something that will sit on a tripod on the Arca Swiss plate. Otherwise, my arm is going to get pretty tired. But now, because we have the fanned grip here, we know that this thing can run for a very long time without overheating, which is really nice. Now, say you wanted to add a screen. Well, again, because this is all HawkLock system, we can easily add a camera monitor or something like that using something like this, a little magic arm, which, because it's part of the HawkLock system, will snap in just like that. So for that, again, we're going to add the Atomos monitor because, I don't know, I just really like it. The remote control part aspect of it makes it really, really nice to be able to use. But for this, I don't think I'm going to hook up the remote control part. But because of the little magic arm, we can kind of set this wherever we want it. We can twist it sideways if we wanted to. You know, say we're the one conducting the interview off to the side, we can easily just move this around to where we can see the monitor and see what's happening. Now, as far as powering this whole system, we could do the same thing where we run everything off of a small Rig 99 watt-hour battery and attach this to the bottom of the cage, just like I did before. But in this case, I think I'm going to stay a little bit lighter weight, and because this has 2 batteries in there, those will actually last quite a while. But what I'm going to do is power this separately, and for that I have the Small Rig 970, or Small Rig also makes a 550 size, both of which are USB-C rechargeable, which I really like. And this monitor actually lasts quite a while, like several hours on this 550 size. But if you really want to run a long time, then this 970 will power that monitor for a really long time. And there you have it, a really powerful, ready-to-go build that will do a tremendous amount of video work for you without overheating and without some of the issues that have been associated with the R5 and the R5 Mark II. But I really only run around with that whole system when I'm working remotely and I can only take a very minimal amount of camera gear with me, And basically the R5 Mark II has got to be the camera that does everything for me, which it does really well. If you want to see my review of the Canon R5 Mark II, click this video right here. I'll see you over there. As always, if you have questions, ask me in the comments below, or you can join my live stream, which happens most Wednesday nights at 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern, or we can have a little more of a conversation. I can answer any questions that maybe I didn't get to in this video. Yeah, I'll see you again soon in the next one. Cheers.